Hey friends, Silvano here from ruffinstudio.com. What if we just can ask ourselves 3 very simple questions to actually improve our mixing in Rominimal and Microhouse? Today I'm going to share 3 simple questions that I ask before I start mixing a track. So let's jump in. So question number 1 that we can ask ourselves before we start mixing is, could my track need more clarity? So what does this mean? So in my opinion, I define clarity that I clearly can hear the driving and the important elements of a track, right? So maybe this is the bass line, maybe this could be the kick, maybe this could be the clap, the snare drum, maybe even some arpeggio synthesizer or lead synth, whatever, vocals. And I like to make a funny example here, but let's reference to a soccer team, right? We have the strikers right in the front, the important guys who shoot the goal, who are there for the important thing. Then we have the defense who is doing its thing. Those can be, I don't know, maybe some background synthesizer pads, maybe some noises or crackling stuff, you know what I mean. And at the very end we have the goalkeeper, limited range, very important again, aka the kick, bass line maybe. And we need to spread all those, our soccer team, around the playground, right? Not the playground, but you know what I mean. And not everyone is just standing in front of the goal, right? And we also don't want to have this with our important elements. We don't want to stick everything right in front of the speaker. We want to give every important element its own space. Yeah, kick, low end, bass, everything in the middle, right? But then again, we need to give the clap its space, the hi-hats, the synthesizer, whatever is there, right? And I just wanted to quickly show you an example from Bexu. Great sounding production, great track really. And he reached out to me and said he has some problems to properly mix that track. I thought this track is a good example of mix that has lacks in some clarity, so I quickly play it. And I think it's the kick that is lacking in clarity, maybe the clap also, and this mid bass line, that arpeggio bass line. So if we ask this question, could my mix need more clarity? In this scenario, yes, it can. So question number 2, does my low end sound muddy or boomy? So what does this mean again? Muddiness is from 100 to, I don't know, 20 hertz down, right? The kick, bass, maybe you have some clashing or masking frequencies. And also the range, I describe it as boomy, maybe between 100 and 200 hertz, or maybe 250 hertz. And yeah, again, there are some masking frequencies between maybe kick, bass, maybe even claps or whatever. Just too many elements in the same frequency range, right? And I like to pull up the chart from Bob Katz, mastering engineer. This is actually from his book, very technical book, Mastering Audio, sorry. And I really like this chart because it gives some names. If we go from 125 to 250, and then we have this muddy, right? Little example here. First muddiness maybe. Maybe I would work around this one. Maybe also here around. And maybe also the kick could need a little bit more punch, or maybe it helps just turn up the kick a little bit to a little thump in the track, because I have the feeling something is missing. And I guess it's the kick's punch, right? And this leads me to the third question, which is very simple. Is there something missing in my track? And again, I have the feeling in this one there's something missing, and I guess it's either maybe the clap or maybe the kick that could be increased a little bit, or the claps could need a little bit of work. And again, I like to reference back to the chart. Something sounds thin if we lack some elements, some frequencies in the range of, I don't know, 100 to 500 hertz. Oftentimes I found it's the frequency again in this muddy range between 100 and 250. If we take out there too much, the track actually sounds very thin. Right? It gets very thin around here. So it's a really small line between a thin track and a muddy track. So it's often just you need to find the middle lane, right? So the question now is, how can we attack every problem, every question, right? If we find maybe the track lacks in clarity, we can work around with some tape emulation to give a little bit more 3D kind of sound. Maybe we can work with reverb. We can work with dynamic EQ, sidechaining, some stuff. And I have another video that covers that kind of stuff to create a little bit more clarity. Then we have the low end, right? Maybe we can work for the muddiness just on the mid channel, like I did before on this track. Just make a little dip, or maybe with the dynamic EQ, just that it works in the mid channel in this certain frequency range from 100 to 250, just taking out the muddy frequency. Third question, is there something missing in my track? Yeah, we can fatten it up, maybe on the drum bus, maybe on the master channel with some multi-band saturation tool, or maybe just EQing a little bit can also already help. Or if the clap or snare drum lacks in some fatness, we can layer them or maybe double them like I showed in another video. A bonus question is, does the hi-hat hurt in my ear if I turn up the track really loudly? In this scenario again, I don't do it here in the Ableton session, but I turn it up here on my monitor controller. And I can clearly say that those hats are too loud in my opinion. And if you can't answer all the questions, just pull up some reference tracks that you like. I put a link to my favorite reference tracks that is a Beatport playlist that I think sound good and balanced. And just pull up a reference track and compare your mix against the reference track, and then you quickly get a feeling if the hi-hats are too loud, if you need some more clarity in your track, if there's something muddy sounding. And yeah, I think those are the 3 questions we should ask, or actually 4 questions. So yeah, the next step you could take is load some old mixes from your hard drive into your Ableton session and just ask those questions one by one, and see if you can improve maybe your old mixes. And again, we just ask 4 simple questions. To summarize it again: number 1, could my track need more clarity? Number 2, does my low end sound muddy or boomy? Number 3, is there something missing in my track? Bonus question: does my hi-hats hurt in my ear if I really loudly turn up my track? And if you're still not sure if there's something missing, just pull up a reference track or pull up this reference chart from Bob Katz that I showed you, and then you should be able to improve your mixes. So leave a comment how you currently process harsh frequencies, or how you create more clarity in your mixes. Yeah, that's it for today. So yeah, if this was helpful, please go and download my 7-step low end checklist, which is a kind of a reference guide that includes all the techniques, tools that you need for a more balanced low end. Some tips if you're ever stuck with mixing low end, kick and bass. It's everything in there, even some tools and programs to actually train your ears to get a better understanding about those kind of frequencies and things. And yeah, hopefully this can improve your mixes. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Cheers.